All right. What the, what the topic's going to cover today, and again, some of this is going to be information that you may have been exposed to, you may utilize yourself, but sometimes you have different takeaways. So, what we're going to dive into is planning and preparation, really how to kind of simplify the process as much as possible, make it automatic process or system you guys utilize. Obviously it will take some work and planning, but that's part of the process, So we really want to remove the friction so you have consistency. Consistency is going to allow you to make better choices and move the needle faster. So it's really about, execution, not necessarily any new rules, and sometimes the boring work is the work we really need to do, because many times, and even with, some of the coaching I do on my side, I hear that, hey, this is too easy. Well, it's more like boring. Well, typically when we start getting bored, it's a distraction, and we'll bring that distraction in to halt our progress. Uh, so you just got to be clear and understand when you do have those thoughts come in to really evaluate the reasoning of why you're having those thoughts. Do a little bit more digging on the mindset component because many times we do a self-sabotage, right? Everything's going awesome, and then we create some other problem that really we don't have to have. But again, not all the time. So what I want to do is try to simplify this process as much as possible and allow it to work within our busy lifestyles because we all have things going on and we get pulled different directions. Not everything's always going to be smooth. And it can be, some days can be unpredictable, but if we have some systems in place, it's going to allow us to make better decisions and make it easy as possible. So, with that said, what we want to talk about most of the time is, we have a lot of information about nutrition. Uh, it could be a knowledge thing, maybe, but we have access to a lot of the knowledge. I think what happens to many is the confusion of marketing within nutrition. And it happens with fitness as well. What I'm saying there is there's a lot of misinformation or misguidance on the structural components of nutrition, the structural components of fitness. And that could be purposeful or, somebody's trying to sell something. But many times we have a lot of knowledge around nutrition. We can get confused sometimes. So many times we know what protein is, why does it matter? You're going to hear me repeat this. Obviously, we understand, vegetables, why are they important? And then why is consistency so important as well? So it's it really comes back to decision making under pressure when things are not going as planned. Can we set the stage for success even when other things are not going as planned that day, that week? Do we have the discipline, or are we setting ourselves up for success even if if we have the stress come, if we have the disruption come within our day? Because they will come and they will go. That's just part of life. Here's what typically happens. This is decision fatigue. Every decision is going to take energy, thought, and it could be emotional components as well. Or stress response. So, what should I eat? When should I eat? Should I cook or order? Is this good or bad? Without a plan, convenience is always going to win, and it may not be the best decision for us. So we have to try to make it as simple as possible for you, or set yourself up for success. And again, what does that look like for you? Because each individual is going to have different situations. Whether it's multiple mouths to feed, families, work, other obligations outside the house. We get it. We got to figure out what that plan looks like for you and how can we implement that plan. And again, planning is not restriction. It creates freedom to make a better choice. Fewer daily decisions, and if you already have some type of plan in place, some type of food plan in place, then it's going to be a lot easier. again, it may not be sexy, and it may be boring, but it will work. So less stress around food, more consistency, better long-term results. So structure is going to create more flexibility for you as well. So here's a good framework that you can use if you don't use any type of framework for meal prepping or planning. And we do this, Aaron does a great job. I help as well, because we get pushed and pulled as far as our schedule goes. And many times I have to cook dinner, and I don't have a problem doing it. Is it as good as her? Maybe not, but um, it is. Just one second, I'm gonna pull somebody else in. Many many times I have to jump in and cook. Um, based upon our schedules, but we always have a plan in place for that. So it's a matter of having a structure around it that you guys can work as a team if you have a team in place or if you don't, if you're, running solo, again, the planning is going to be just as important. So do you have a protein source, carbohydrate source, vegetable source? Are those available? Many times what we do is we will have it structured out where we have options. If we know we're going to get caught in coaching calls and caught on the phone, uh, we will have quick options that I can easily go make, Aaron can easily go make around because it's going to happen. So that's just from our perspective and what we've had to do over the years. We've done a lot of prepping and planning because we've had to, operate a business for over 20 years. We were typically, there was always a high demand for our time. Now, obviously, when you pull kids and other activities into it, it's going to be putting even more of a demand. So it's going to be so crucial to have these things in place. So again, this is a repeating component that you probably heard multiple times. So protein's always going to come first. What type of protein is going to anchor your meal? What does that look like for you? What protein does is it helps control appetite, stabilize blood sugar, support muscle metabolism, improves recovery and energy. Again, it's one of the foundational components you want to make sure you have within your nutritional plan. And you hear us talk about it because we always trying to get your protein to a certain level. It, you want to have anchor meals. Anchor meals are meals you can repeat easily. And we have those. That's what I kind of just talked about. That is fairly quick to prepare, and that you can tolerate on a consistent basis, on a weekly basis, and it's going to be higher in protein, nutrient dense, simple, and it's reliable. It's something that if you get caught in a pinch, you can get it up and going fairly quickly. So that's just an example. So here's some, examples that you can do yourself. So anchor meal examples. So eggs, potatoes, fruit. Okay, those are all samples. Chicken, rice, veggies, steak or fish with roasted vegetables. Always having some type of yogurt or Greek yogurt, berries, nuts. These are kind of staple components that we have in our house and available most of the time, right? Obviously, if we start getting low, we have to take inventory and replenish those components. But these are some of the anchor components we always have available. That way, it gives us some flexibility to make different meals or choose different, products that are higher in protein, more nutrient dense. When you think about preparation, um, you want to, uh, you can get really complex with this. I personally don't. The more complex the recipe, the less likely I like to do it. That's Erin's, not necessarily a cup of tea, but she enjoys some of those components, and she does a really good job with that. So you got to figure out what makes sense for you because you can get into recipes and preparation that is very complex that may feel cumbersome. So just understand of where you're at, what you need to accomplish, and where's the balance between making it too complicated and tasting good enough. So I think there's always a balance there. But here's some preparation components that you want to think about. cooking the protein in bulk, cook one carb source, prep vegetables that are simple to get access to. And there's a lot of different ways you can do that. And then combine meals as needed. And or if you have similar like meals, what you can do is you can have the different proteins cooked and then obviously the similar vegetables, and you can be okay with that. Again, I'm trying to give you guys examples of trying to make it simple as possible. And, you probably heard of some of these like sheet pan meals, cooker proteins. We do a lot of that. So some of the slow cook proteins or slow cooker type meals, we may do more in the winter. In the summer, less likely. I do a lot more grilling, and then that's just based upon where we're at as far as how our weather changes. And we do a lot of this grill once, eat multiple times. So I may grill out X amount of chicken breast, but I may have different flavors across the board for those chicken. That way we can have a little bit of variety of taste and or style with that chicken, and then we can mix up what we do with it. Whether it's on a salad, whether it's with rice, whether it's just a veggie. So that's just one example. Again, pre-portioned protein only. You can obviously cook all your protein and have it ready. Then you can, some of the other sides can be a little bit quicker to prepare. Again, these are different methods that you can apply. And again, recipes are a tool. Use recipes for inspiration. It doesn't have to be end all be all. So you have some flexibility with recipes, and you really don't. And I just talked about this. The more complex, that sounds more stressful for me. Um, but there's a balance there, and some people do enjoy the complexity. Just make sure it doesn't take up too much of your time as far as the preparation and things of that nature. Because then again, we'll run into the problem of not wanting to prepare correctly and or go into other options of food that may not be serving you. So here are some resources for you guys, and these are some of the ones we use or Aaron uses more often than not, approved recipe resources. And these may sound familiar. She may have shared some of these. So the Skinny Taste is a good, all these, Defined Dish, Primal Gourmet, the Real Food Dietitians, Work Week Lunch. Again, you can jot these down and look them up, and then you want to, use these as resources as you can find different recipes. And again, some of them can be complex recipes, but you want to look at that, right? You want to find things that are a little bit simpler, but kind of make sense for you, fit your palate, and then obviously the macro component. And they've done a really good job of getting access to things that fit in within the macro scope. So here's some guidelines for that, how to choose the right recipe. Uh, what's the protein source? Where does it start there? Can you do it with under 45 minutes? Can you eat more than once? Does it make multiple meals for you, or feed multiple people? That's another thing. And can it simplify your week? I mean, you just look at it from that perspective. It becomes too complicated. It doesn't fit in the box. Well, you may use that recipe for a special occasion, maybe a weekend when you have more time, if you have it set up like that. This is another thing. We always have our staples, which I already talked about. So those are always going to be on the grocery shopping list. And we always do a evaluation. I have a conversation with Erin before she goes and or she orders or I go to pick something up to make sure that we have some of the staples. So having the shopping list and shopping with intention is important. Shop with lists, start with your proteins, focus on whole foods. Do you have your staples? You know, do you have the quick go-to foods? Are they going to be available the whole week for you? Are you running low on them? So, and again, there's a lot of technology out here that can help this. Actually, my brother-in-law told me this, what he does, which I thought was great. I haven't built a prompt for it, but he's in technology, so he's more techie than I am. But he built an AI prompt to set up his grocery shopping list based upon his macros, based upon his location, based upon the store he goes to, and how fast he can get through that store. So, if you know AI very well or ChatGPT, you can prompt it to set up some of those things for you, which he has. And I kind of chuckled, but I was like, yes, you're not wrong. It's a great tool if you use it correctly. So that's just a side note. Eating outside the home, obviously, this is where sometimes we get off plan and our decisions waver. So that's going to be the desire of who you're becoming or who you are now, making the proper decisions when you're in situations like this. So I always think about, how to navigate, what's the protein source? Is it enough? Is it palm size? Am I getting those, 25, 30 grams in? So protein first, to build the plate, stop when satisfied, slow down when consuming food as well. Those are just normal coaching responses. So, and then once you get done eating out, go back to your no normal routine, control it as much as possible, and then go back into the normal routine you have. Because we're going through that right now, right? This past week, there was a lot of sweets in the house. Unfortunately, I consume more than I um, typically do, but it is what it is. I stayed on task with my workouts, my movement. I did the other things and controlled them. The sweets are out of the house now, so we're good. We'll move on. So, and you want to, again, you don't want to create more friction. You want to remove friction, plan ahead, repeat what works for you and your schedule, simplify the decision process. That way it's easier. You have this available. I'm going to eat that. And then build a system. And I just gave you some structure of samples of some type of system that may are bits and pieces of different systems that may work for you. And the biggest thing with this is making sure you have a plan and you stick to the plan, you stick to the system. So you're always going to have the standards over motivation. You're not always going to be motivated to do the components. Motivation is going to fluctuate. It always does. Your standards or your 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 desire of that new person is going to outweigh that. So it's what you're setting for your personal standards and your results is going to always outweigh motivation. Again, you want proteins at each meal, consistent structure, and then simple preparation. These are all, things that you want to have within what you do. Again, you want to make nutrition boring enough to win. Plan once for the week. Make sure it fits in within your schedule in the framework of your environment. Uh, Try to simplify the prepping process and then repeat as often as possible. Consistency is always going to compound. So it's a compound effect. Again, many times what we see with nutrition is we're not doing enough, we're not putting enough effort into planning and setting ourselves up for success. If we're just showing up, what do you think the outcome will be? Because there's, again, decision fatigue will kick in, stress response will kick in, emotional response will kick in, and if we don't have a plan in place, it's going to be random results. So your nutrition will be random. Unfortunately, that's what we see so many times. So, the big takeaways for this is you want to take some time, put some of these, systems in place if you don't have something in place right now. You do want to, plan out the week. What does that look like? You're going to have to put some effort into, looking at, and we have it all in the app. We have all types of recipes based upon your specific macro. You can play around with that. They get a little complicated. What I always tell the guys is take a look at it, find ones that maybe work for you and your palate and that are pretty simple and pull those because we can regenerate those as many times as we need to. What I'm saying there is they'll give you different recipes, but again, based upon your specific macro. So use that software. It's a great tool if you need that. Uh, and again, I will go back to let's see the we're here. the approved recipe resources. Go back to some of these sites, take a look at, Skinny Taste, Defined Dish, Primal Gourmet, the Real Food Dietitians, and Workweek Lunch. Any of those, jump in there and take a look at them if you need some other ideas. And again, we don't want to complicate it. You want to have a simple system in place. And again, with recipes in general, you can get a little bit more complicated, and you just got to figure out what that looks like and make sure it doesn't overcomplicate it and make it more stressful. It's not supposed to be that way. So, all right. With that said, again, some of this information you guys probably are good with. Some of it's new, but planning, prepping, having systems in place is so crucial because it makes it a lot easier. Even though it may feel cumbersome and stressful, getting to the point of having the things in place, once you're in the week when things are not going as planned, you have access to foods that are going to serve you. It makes it worth it. So, with that said, what I'm going to do now is open it up. I'm going to stop the share here and open it up and see if anyone has any questions. So if you do have questions, what you can do is you can jump in, you can ask them, you can unmute, um, or you can hit me up in the chat. Any of the ways will work. Awesome. Well, if you guys don't have, never hesitate, reach out. Again, I'm in the app as well. I help coach, specifically in the group model. So I'll be poking around in there and helping you guys out as well. Giving you feedback and answering some questions if Aaron can't get to him quick enough. So what I'm going to do this week is send out a survey, try to get more information on what areas of nutrition that we can talk more about that you guys may want more information on, and get those resources in here. So I'll send out a survey. I kind of talked about that last week, but I'll be kicking that out here uh, into this week, and then what I'll do next week is I'll take all that information that you guys fill out and then lay out some topics that maybe we didn't hit on, or maybe we need to review again. So, well, with that said, if you guys don't have anything else, I'm going to go ahead and wrap everything up and stop the recording and kick this back out to the individuals who couldn't make it. So we're all good. Well, with that said, these last 2 weeks with how the holiday runs, I know it kind of shakes everybody's schedules up. Um, but enjoy the time with family, friends, and I will talk to you guys in the new year. So take care, enjoy.